A retired father thought his son wanted to rebuild their broken relationship, until he was given an impossible ultimatum: become his daughter-in-law's servant or leave forever. Smiling quietly, Robert Valken picked up his suitcase and walked away, unaware that his departure would expose a multi-million-dollar betrayal that would destroy his own son's life. What would you do if your own child betrayed you? Watch until the end, because this story is filled with shocking twists, family secrets, and unexpected karma. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Chapter 1. The Invitation. The last thing I expected at 62 was to hear my son tell me he missed me. My name is Robert Valken, and for most of my life I believed that hard work could solve almost anything. I spent 35 years designing bridges, airports, and transport structures across several countries. Deadlines never frightened me. Economic crises came and went. Governments changed. Projects failed and were rebuilt. Family was supposed to be simpler than all of that. I was wrong. 3 years had passed since my retirement. 6 years had passed since my wife, Elena, died after a short illness. Since then, I had lived alone in a quiet lakeside cottage in Vermont. The silence there was sometimes comforting, sometimes unbearable. I filled my days with gardening, reading historical books, and occasionally consulting on engineering projects. It was not an exciting life, but it was peaceful. Then one evening in late October, my phone rang. The caller ID displayed a name I had not seen in weeks. Cashin. My son rarely called unless there was a special occasion. I answered immediately. Dad. His voice sounded warm. Almost unusually warm. Hello, son. How are you doing? I smiled faintly. I'm still alive, if that's what you're asking. He laughed. For a moment, I felt something I had missed for years. Connection. We talked for nearly 40 minutes. He asked about my health, my hobbies, and even old stories from his childhood. Then he suddenly became serious. Dad. I think you've been alone for too long. I looked through the window at the lake. The water was completely still. Perhaps you should come stay with us. I remained silent. You mean for Christmas? No. Longer. I frowned. Celine's voice appeared in the background. Tell him we'd love to have him here. That surprised me even more. My daughter-in-law and I had always maintained a polite relationship, but never a particularly close one. Cashin continued. The house is huge. You'd have your own suite. We'd spend time together. And... He paused. You'll be close to your future grandchild someday. That sentence touched something inside me. I had often wondered whether I would ever become a grandfather. Perhaps this was an opportunity. Perhaps I had isolated myself for too long. Perhaps family deserved another chance. I'll think about it, I finally said. Please do. After ending the call, I sat in silence for nearly an hour. Elena's photograph stood beside the fireplace. I picked it up. What would you say? I asked quietly. Of course, there was no answer. But looking at her picture made me remember something she often repeated. Do not let pride steal time from the people you love. 2 weeks later, I accepted the invitation. The preparations moved surprisingly quickly. Cashin insisted on arranging everything. The flights, the transportation, even movers. When I offered to organize things myself, he refused. Just relax, Dad. At the time, I considered it kindness. I would later understand it differently. By early November, I arrived at their estate outside Seattle. The property was enormous. A stone driveway curved around carefully maintained gardens. The house itself looked more like a boutique hotel than a family residence. Cashin greeted me with a hug. A real hug. For several seconds, I simply stood there, stunned. My son had never been particularly affectionate. It's good to see you, he said. You too. Celine emerged from the entrance wearing an elegant cream-colored coat. Welcome home, Robert. Home. That word sounded strange, yet pleasant. Inside, the house was immaculate. Everything looked expensive. Too expensive. Large paintings decorated the walls. Imported furniture filled every room. There were wine collections, sculptures, and designer decorations everywhere. I quietly wondered how they could afford such a lifestyle. Cashin was successful, certainly. But this seemed excessive. I dismissed the thought. Perhaps I was simply becoming old and cautious. The first week passed peacefully. We had dinner together every evening. We talked, laughed, shared memories. For the first time in years, I felt like part of a family again. Then small details began bothering me. One morning, I noticed that the house manager was leaving with several boxes. I asked Celine about it. "Oh, we're making changes." "What kind of changes?" She smiled. "Simplifying things." A few days later, the gardener disappeared. Then the chef. Then 2 cleaning staff members. Within 10 days, almost every employee had been dismissed. I found it unusual. This property was far too large to maintain without staff. Yet neither Cashin nor Celine seemed concerned. One evening during dinner, I finally asked, "Why did everyone leave?" Cashin exchanged a brief glance with his wife. "They didn't leave." "What do you mean?" "We simply decided to reduce unnecessary expenses." I nearly laughed. Unnecessary expenses? This mansion probably consumed more money in a month than my cottage had in a year. Still, I said nothing. A few days later, Celine approached me in the library. "Robert, could you do me a favor?" "Of course." She handed me several packages. "I need these delivered tomorrow." I accepted them without hesitation. It seemed harmless. The following day she asked for another favor. Then another. Driving. Organizing documents. Receiving deliveries. Managing appointments. The requests slowly increased. At first, I did not notice the pattern. But patterns were my profession. Engineers survive by recognizing them. And eventually, I recognized this one. I was becoming useful. Chapter 2. The Ultimatum. I barely slept that night. The rain continued outside my window, tapping softly against the glass while Celine's words repeated inside my mind. "He won't have a choice." Dependent. The sentence made no sense. I was financially independent, physically healthy, and perfectly capable of returning to Vermont whenever I wished. So what exactly were they planning? The next morning, I came downstairs earlier than usual. The house felt strangely quiet. I expected to smell coffee or hear movement from the kitchen, but instead I found Celine sitting alone at the dining table. She looked unusually cheerful. "Good morning, Robert." "Morning. There is something wonderful we want to tell you." I slowly sat down. A few seconds later Cashin entered. For some reason, he looked nervous. Celine suddenly smiled. "I'm pregnant." For a moment, I simply stared at her. Then a wave of emotion washed over me. A grandchild. After all these years. I stood and hugged her instinctively. She accepted the embrace, though her expression remained oddly controlled. Cashin finally smiled. "You'll be a grandfather." I laughed softly. For the first time in months, genuine happiness filled my chest. Perhaps I had misunderstood everything. Perhaps I had overreacted to what I heard the previous night. Perhaps they were simply discussing family responsibilities. I apologized internally for my suspicions. Breakfast proceeded pleasantly. We talked about names, schools, future plans. Then Celine suddenly stood. I almost forgot. She walked toward a cabinet and removed a blue folder. A strange feeling returned immediately. She placed the folder directly in front of me. "What is this?" "Just some family arrangements." I opened it. My smile slowly disappeared. Inside was a printed schedule. Monday, prepare breakfast. Receive deliveries. Drive Celine to appointments. Tuesday, organize household inventory. Supervise maintenance. Wednesday, assist with future childcare planning. The list continued for several pages. I looked up. What exactly is this? Celine folded her hands. We've been discussing the future. I can see that. We'll need help once the baby arrives. I nodded slowly. Of course. I'd gladly help occasionally. Her smile faded. No, Robert. I frowned. This would be your regular responsibility. I looked at Cashin. He immediately avoided eye contact. I turned another page. There were additional instructions. Meal preparation. Household supervision. Scheduling. Future childcare duties. This was not help. This was employment. Unpaid employment. I closed the folder carefully. I think there is some misunderstanding. There isn't, Celine replied calmly. I stared at her. She continued speaking. You live here with us. Temporarily. Family contributes. Contributes, yes. I placed my hand on the folder. But this isn't contribution. The room became silent. Then Celine leaned slightly forward. It is only fair. I felt irritation slowly rising. Fair. You're retired. You have free time. I almost laughed. I retired from engineering. I didn't retire to become household staff. Cashin finally spoke. Dad. I turned toward him. His expression was uncomfortable. We've discussed this extensively. He nodded. We think this arrangement makes sense. I could hardly believe what I was hearing. A few months earlier, he had begged me to come. Told me he missed me. Told me I was family. Now there was suddenly an arrangement. I looked directly into his eyes. Is this why you invited me? No. His answer came too quickly. Celine crossed her arms. Robert, please don't make this emotional. That sentence instantly changed the atmosphere. Don't make this emotional. As if I were negotiating a business contract. I slowly stood. I need some air. Please sit down, Celine said. Her tone had become firmer. I remained standing. Then she said something that stunned me. We already let most of the staff go because we expected your support. I blinked. What? Cashin finally looked at me. Dad. It was practical. Practical. The chef. The gardener. The cleaners. Everything suddenly made sense. They had not reduced expenses. They had removed replacements. Replacements for me. I felt cold. You planned this. Neither of them answered. Silence itself became the answer. For several long seconds, nobody spoke. Then I quietly asked, what happens if I refuse? Celine's expression hardened. You wouldn't refuse your own family. I asked a question. Cashin inhaled deeply. The nervous sun disappeared. A different man stood before me. One I barely recognized. If you're going to stay here, we expect support. Support. Such a pleasant word for exploitation. And if I don't? Cashin looked directly at me. For the first time since my arrival, his voice became completely cold. Then perhaps this arrangement isn't working. I stared at him. He continued. Celine is carrying our child. I understand that. My priority is my wife. The sentence hurt more than I expected. Not because it was wrong. A husband should protect his wife. But because of what came next. He stood from his chair. You can either support her and do your part. His eyes remained fixed on mine. Or you can leave. Silence filled the room. Outside, dark clouds covered the morning sky. I looked at my son. The little boy who once begged me to teach him how to ride a bicycle. The teenager who cried after his first heartbreak. The young man whose university tuition I paid without hesitation. Now he was giving me an ultimatum. Serve his wife. Or leave. For several seconds, nobody moved. Celine seemed confident. Cashin appeared tense but determined. Perhaps they expected anger. Perhaps they expected an argument. Instead, I suddenly felt calm. Completely calm. I smiled. A small, quiet smile. Confusion appeared on both their faces. Without saying a single word, I turned around and walked upstairs. Behind me, I heard Cashin's voice. Dad. I entered my room. Opened the closet. Pulled out my suitcase. Then I began packing. 10 minutes later, I carried my luggage downstairs. Both of them were standing near the entrance. Neither spoke. I put on my coat. Finally, Cashin broke the silence. Chapter 3. 32 Missed Calls. I left before sunrise. The road leading away from the estate was still covered in morning fog, and for several minutes I simply drove without any destination in mind. I expected to feel angry. Instead, I felt empty. A father spends decades believing that love automatically creates loyalty. Unfortunately, life has a way of proving otherwise. By noon, I had checked into a small hotel near Tacoma. The room was simple. A bed. A desk. A small balcony overlooking the harbor. It reminded me of the business trips I used to take during my engineering career. Temporary places. Temporary people. Temporary problems. I placed my suitcase beside the bed and sat in silence. My phone remained completely quiet. No calls. No messages. No apologies. Part of me still hoped Cashin would contact me. Perhaps he would realize how absurd the situation had been. Perhaps he would come to his senses. I waited the entire evening. Nothing. The following morning, I booked a flight back to Vermont for the next week. I intended to spend several days resting before returning home. That afternoon, however, something strange happened. A notification appeared on my phone. A failed login attempt. It was from one of my private banking applications. I frowned. I had not opened that account in several months. Perhaps it was a mistake. I ignored it. 10 minutes later, another notification appeared. Then another. Then another. 3 separate login attempts. This time I became concerned. I immediately opened the application. Everything appeared normal. No money had moved. No transfers had been completed. Still, a feeling of unease settled inside me. Only a handful of people even knew those accounts existed. I decided to call someone I trusted. Mireille. The woman on the other side immediately recognized my voice. Robert. It's been a while. Mireille Sorin had been my financial advisor for nearly 20 years. She was exceptionally careful and perhaps one of the few people I trusted completely regarding my finances. I've been receiving unusual login notifications. There was a brief silence. That's strange. I thought so too. Can you come to the office tomorrow morning? The seriousness in her voice instantly caught my attention. Is something wrong? I'd rather discuss it in person. I sat up straighter. Mireille. Another pause. Please come tomorrow. The call ended. For the first time in many years, I felt genuinely nervous. The next morning, I drove directly to her office in downtown Seattle. Mireille greeted me personally. Her expression was unusually tense. Without saying much, she guided me into her private office and closed the door. Then she placed several documents in front of me. Robert. I looked at the papers. At first, I didn't understand what I was seeing. Transfer requests. Authorization forms. Identity verification records. My name appeared on every page. I frowned. What is this? Her expression became grave. Someone attempted to access your trust accounts. I stared at her. What? 3 days ago, we received electronic authorization requests. I picked up the documents. The signatures looked disturbingly familiar. My signature, but not entirely. The curves were slightly incorrect. The spacing was different. Someone had copied it. A cold sensation moved through my body. How much? Mireille inhaled slowly. $11 million. I nearly dropped the papers. 11 million. The amount represented decades of investments, insurance settlements, consulting fees, and assets accumulated throughout my career. Was anything transferred? No. I looked at her. The authorization failed. I released a slow breath. Why? She pointed at one page. The signatures were inconsistent. I sat back in my chair. For several moments, neither of us spoke. Finally, I asked the obvious question. Who submitted these? Mireille looked uncomfortable. That's the problem. She handed me another document. Electronic records. IP addresses. Submission data. One specific location immediately caught my attention. I recognized the address. It belonged to Cashin's estate. For several seconds, I simply stared at the paper. No. Mireille remained silent. There must be some mistake. I hoped so too. No. I shook my head. Maybe someone hacked their network. Possibly. But her expression suggested otherwise. I suddenly remembered something. The invitation. The dismissed employees. The strange schedule. The insistence that I remain there. My heartbeat quickened. Mireille slowly slid one final document across the table. I looked down. A digital identity certificate. The authorized user information. Then I saw the name. Cashin Valken. The room became completely silent. I could hear only the ticking clock on the wall. No. I whispered. My hands suddenly felt cold. This could not be real. My son. The little boy I had raised. The child whose scraped knees I bandaged. The young man I had supported through university and law school. I read the document again and again. The name did not change. Cashin Valken. The air inside the office suddenly felt heavy. Mireille spoke softly. Robert. I looked at her. I think you need to prepare yourself. I swallowed. For what? Her answer came quietly. I don't believe inviting you into that house was accidental. The sentence struck me harder than I expected. Because deep inside, I had already begun reaching the same conclusion. I stood and walked toward the window. Seattle's skyline looked calm. People moved normally below. Cars passed. Life continued. Yet my own world suddenly felt unstable. Then my phone vibrated. Once. Twice. 3 times. I looked at the screen. Cashin. Calling. I rejected it. Immediately another call appeared. Rejected. Another. And another. The phone continued vibrating. Messages started arriving. Dad, please answer. We need to talk. This isn't what you think. Please call me. I stared at the screen. The calls kept coming. 5, 10, 15, 20. By the time the phone finally became silent, there were 32 missed calls. I slowly lowered the device. Mireille watched me carefully. What are you going to do? I looked at my son's name on the screen. For the first time in my life, I genuinely did not know who he was anymore. Then another message appeared. Chapter 4. The Confession. I did not answer any of Cashin's calls. For the next 2 days, I stayed inside my hotel room and tried to understand everything that had happened. Every memory now looked different. Every smile. Every invitation. Every kind word. Had it all been an act? I wanted to believe there was some misunderstanding. A technical error. Identity theft. Anything. But deep inside, I already knew the truth. On the third evening, another message arrived. Dad, please meet me. I swear I can explain everything. Celine doesn't know. I stared at the message for a long time. Celine doesn't know. Those 4 words refused to leave my mind. If she truly did not know, then perhaps I had judged her unfairly. Or perhaps this was simply another lie. An hour later, another message appeared. Please. 1 meeting. After that, if you never want to see me again, I'll accept it. I closed my eyes. Despite everything, he was still my son. And some part of me still wanted answers. The following afternoon, I agreed to meet him at a small cafe near downtown Seattle. I arrived first. Rain covered the windows, and only a few customers occupied the tables. 20 minutes later, Cashin entered. I almost failed to recognize him. His clothes were wrinkled. His eyes were red. He looked as though he had not slept for days. When he sat down across from me, neither of us spoke immediately. Finally, he lowered his head. I'm sorry. I remained silent. I'm so sorry, Dad. I studied him carefully. For the first time in years, I saw genuine fear in his eyes. Not embarrassment. Not anger. Fear. What happened? I asked quietly. He exhaled shakily. Then he looked directly at me. I made terrible decisions. I said nothing. It started 2 years ago. He rubbed his face with both hands. I wanted more. More. He nodded. The firm was doing well. Our investments were growing. Everyone around us was making huge amounts of money. His voice became bitter. I thought I could do the same. I already disliked where this was going. I invested. In what? Luxury resorts. International property funds. Private technology companies. I folded my arms. That doesn't explain fraud. It wasn't enough. He looked away. So I borrowed. A long silence followed. How much? He swallowed. At first, 3 million. I nearly stopped breathing. Then he continued. Then 6. I stared at him. Then 10. The cafe suddenly felt colder. You borrowed $10 million? He slowly nodded. Most of it wasn't even my money. I felt a terrible sensation in my chest. Who did you borrow from? His expression changed immediately. That alone gave me my answer. Not banks. Not investors. Dangerous people. I thought I could recover everything before anyone noticed. Did you? No. Rain struck the windows harder. I lost nearly all of it. I leaned back slowly. For several seconds, I simply looked at him. This intelligent, successful man sitting before me seemed like a stranger. When did you decide to involve me? Cashin closed his eyes. After the losses. I said nothing. I knew you had significant assets. So you invited me into your house. He lowered his head. Yes. You dismissed the staff. Yes. You wanted access to my accounts. His voice became almost inaudible. Yes. Each answer felt like another blow. Then he suddenly looked at me. But I never wanted to hurt you. I almost laughed. You forged my signature. Tears appeared in his eyes. I was desperate. No. I shook my head. You were greedy. The words visibly hurt him. But they were true. For several moments neither of us spoke. Then I remembered the message. Why did you say Celine doesn't know? Cashin's entire expression changed. Because she really doesn't. I frowned. What exactly doesn't she know? He hesitated. Then he whispered. Everything. I remained silent. My debts. The fraud. The loans. The fact that I used your information. I stared at him. She believes our finances are stable. Then why pressure me? His expression became complicated. Because she wanted help after the pregnancy. I blinked. What? She suggested asking you to stay permanently. I frowned. But the schedule. That was her idea. So she did want me to become some kind of servant. Not exactly. He sighed heavily. She grew up surrounded by relatives living together. Grandparents helped raise children. Family members shared responsibilities. I said nothing. Her expectations were unreasonable, but she wasn't trying to steal from you. I felt another wave of confusion. So Celine had been demanding and insensitive, but not criminal. Then another question appeared. Does she know about the attempted transfer? Cashin looked horrified. No. And if she discovers it? His face turned pale. You don't understand. Then explain. He leaned closer. Her family will destroy me. I frowned. What do you mean? They invested with me. Silence. I stared at him. What? They trusted me. How much money? He swallowed. Nearly 20 million. For several seconds, I could not speak. 20 million. This situation was far worse than I had imagined. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. I also used your name. I slowly sat upright. My name. As additional collateral. The entire world seemed to stop. You did what? His eyes filled with tears. I forged documents saying you were backing certain investments. I could barely breathe. You used my identity? He nodded weakly. If those investors discover the truth. He couldn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. I already understood. Fraud. Forgery. Financial crimes. Lawsuits. Possibly prison. I looked at my son. For the first time in my entire life. I was afraid of him. Then his phone suddenly rang. He looked at the screen. All color disappeared from his face. Who is it? I asked. His hands began shaking. Very slowly, he turned the phone toward me. The caller ID displayed only one name. Celine. A second later, a message appeared beneath the call. Cashin. We need to talk. I know everything. Cashin looked as though all the blood had left his body. Then another message arrived. Do not come home alone. My father is here. I looked at him. He looked at me. And in that moment, we both realized the same terrifying thing. Someone had finally uncovered the truth. Chapter 5. Everything collapses. For several seconds, neither of us moved. Cashin kept staring at his phone as though it had become a weapon. His hands were trembling. How? He whispered. I looked at him carefully. How could she know? He shook his head repeatedly. No. No, this can't be happening. The phone rang again. Celine. He rejected the call immediately. A second later, another message appeared. You have 30 minutes. If you don't come home, my father will contact the authorities himself. Cashin looked ready to collapse. I slowly stood from my chair. I think you should answer her. He looked at me with panic in his eyes. Dad, please, you don't understand. I understand enough. No, you don't. He leaned forward. If her family reports everything now, I'm finished. I stared at him. You should have considered that before committing fraud. His face twisted painfully. I know. For a brief moment, he looked like a little boy again. A frightened child. But this situation was no longer about mistakes. This was about choices. Years of choices. Poor ones. Then he suddenly grabbed my wrist. Dad, Please help me. I looked down at his hand. For several seconds, neither of us spoke. Help you how? You still have influence. I frowned. What exactly are you asking? He swallowed. Speak to them. I almost laughed. Speak to them. Please. He was nearly begging now. If you explain everything, maybe they'll wait. I slowly removed his hand. Cashin. His eyes filled with desperate hope. Then I spoke. You forged my signature. The hope immediately weakened. You attempted to steal $11 million. His shoulders dropped. You used my identity as collateral. His breathing became uneven. And now you want me to save you. Tears appeared in his eyes. I know I don't deserve it. At least he finally understood something. I sighed deeply. I'll go with you. His head immediately lifted. Relief filled his face. But I won't lie for you. The relief disappeared instantly. Dad. I won't protect criminal behavior. He looked down. After a long silence, he nodded weakly. We left the cafe together. The drive to the estate felt much longer than before. Dark clouds covered the sky, and rain continued falling steadily. Neither of us spoke. When we finally arrived, several luxury vehicles were parked outside. I immediately knew the situation had become serious. The front door opened before we even reached it. Celine stood there. She looked pale. Her eyes were swollen as though she had been crying. For the first time since I had met her, she appeared genuinely broken. Behind her stood an older man in an expensive gray suit. His posture was rigid. His expression was cold. I assumed immediately that he was her father. Celine looked directly at Cashin. You lied to me. Cashin lowered his head. The older man stepped forward. So this is Robert Valken. I nodded politely. Edric Duval. His handshake was firm. I apologize that our first meeting happens under these circumstances. I said nothing. The atmosphere inside the house felt suffocating. Everyone gathered in the living room. No one sat down. Finally, Edric spoke. We discovered irregularities yesterday. Cashin remained silent. One of our accountants noticed inconsistencies within several investment structures. He looked directly at his son-in-law. You forged financial reports. Cashin closed his eyes. You used funds improperly. No answer. You created false guarantees. Silence. Then Edric's voice became colder. And apparently, you involved your father's identity. The room became completely quiet. Celine looked at Cashin as if she were looking at a stranger. Tears slowly ran down her face. Tell me it isn't true. Cashin said nothing. Tell me. Her voice suddenly broke. Finally, he whispered. It's true. Celine covered her mouth. I could see genuine shock in her eyes. At that moment, I finally realized she truly had not known. She had been difficult, demanding, insensitive, but she had not been part of this scheme. Then another voice interrupted. I thought something was wrong. Everyone turned. A woman entered from the hallway. I immediately recognized her. Professor Ingrid Thorne. My old friend. Cashin looked equally shocked. Dad. Why is she here? I frowned. Ingrid. She adjusted her glasses. I came because your financial advisor contacted me. Mireille. Of course. Ingrid had spent years working as a forensic accountant. Investigating fraud was practically her specialty. She placed several folders on the table. I've spent the last 24 hours reviewing available records. Cashin's face became pale. Please tell me you didn't. I did. The room fell silent. Ingrid opened one folder. Then another. There are unauthorized transfers. Another file. Hidden debts. Another. Fabricated guarantees. Another. Identity misuse. Every document seemed to remove more color from Cashin's face. Finally, Ingrid looked directly at him. This isn't a financial mistake. Silence. This is systematic fraud. No one moved. Even the rain outside seemed quieter. Then Celine suddenly stepped forward. Her expression had changed. The sadness was gone. Only anger remained. Without saying a word, she removed a small recording device from her purse. Cashin stared at it. "What is that?" Her answer came immediately. "Protection." She placed it on the table. "I've been recording conversations for months." Everyone froze. Cashin looked horrified. "I didn't trust you anymore." Another device. "And I copied emails." Another. "And financial files." I slowly looked at her. She had been gathering evidence. 4 months. Tears filled her eyes once again. "I thought you were having an affair." She laughed bitterly. "I never imagined it was something worse." Cashin looked completely defeated. Then Edric spoke quietly. "You betrayed my daughter." Silence. "You endangered my family." Another silence. "And you attempted to exploit your own father." Cashin lowered his head. No one defended him. No one could. Then his phone began vibrating repeatedly. Messages. Calls. More messages. Investors. Partners. Chapter 6. The Suitcase That Saved Me. No one spoke. The dark vehicles outside stopped one by one. Rain continued falling across the driveway while several people stepped out. 2 men in formal suits. Another woman carrying documents. And behind them, local authorities. Cashin looked as though he could no longer breathe. "This can't be happening." His voice barely came out. Edric Duval looked at him coldly. "It already happened." The front door opened moments later. One of the investigators entered and presented identification. "Mr. Cashin Valken?" My son slowly stood. "Why, yes. We need to ask you several questions regarding financial fraud, identity misuse, and investment irregularities." The room became completely silent. Cashin looked around desperately. At Celine. At Edric. At me. No one moved. No one defended him. For the first time in his life, he stood completely alone. The investigator continued. "We also have documents indicating unauthorized use of Mr. Robert Valken's personal information." Cashin closed his eyes. I could see his hands shaking. "I understand." His voice sounded empty. The investigators requested access to several offices inside the mansion. Within minutes, the entire atmosphere changed. Staff from financial agencies entered. Documents were photographed. Computers were secured. Phones were examined. Everything happened quickly. Like watching a building collapse in slow motion. I remained near the fireplace, unable to move. Several years earlier, I had proudly introduced Cashin to business associates. I had told people he was one of the brightest young attorneys I knew. I had believed he would build something meaningful. Instead, greed had consumed him. Suddenly, Celine approached me. Her eyes were red. "I owe you an apology." I looked at her. "You owe me nothing." "No." She shook her head. "I treated you terribly." Her voice trembled. "I thought you simply didn't want to help us." I said nothing. She looked toward the investigators. "I never imagined this." For the first time, I saw genuine regret in her expression. "I should never have spoken to you that way." I nodded slowly. Perhaps we both misunderstood each other. Tears appeared in her eyes. "I'm sorry, Robert." I placed my hand gently on her shoulder. "Take care of yourself." She looked as though she wanted to say more. Instead, she simply nodded. A few moments later, Edric joined us. His expression remained serious. "Mr. Valken." "Edric, I have already instructed my legal team to separate your name from all related investments." I exhaled quietly. "Thank you." He looked directly at me. "You are also a victim in this." That sentence strangely hurt. Victim. I had never considered myself one. I had simply been a father. A foolish father. Edric sighed. "I may never forgive what he did to my daughter." He paused. "But what he did to you?" For the first time, I saw sympathy in his eyes. Is something no parent should experience. Neither of us spoke afterward. Across the room, one investigator approached Cashin with several papers. My son looked defeated. There was no arrogance left. No confidence. No excuses. Only exhaustion. Eventually, he looked toward me. "Dad." I slowly walked over. The room became quiet again. He stared at me for several seconds. Then tears finally began falling. "I ruined everything." I remained silent. "I ruined my marriage." Another tear rolled down his face. "My career." He looked around. "Our family." I said nothing. Then he asked the question I had been expecting. "Can you ever forgive me?" The room seemed to freeze. Even the investigators waited. I looked at my son carefully. At the boy I once carried on my shoulders. At the teenager who once dreamed of changing the world. At the man standing before me now. I took a slow breath. Forgiveness and trust are not the same thing. His eyes filled with pain. "I know. I may forgive you someday." Tears continued running down his face. "But the trust you destroyed." I paused. "Will take much longer." He lowered his head. For several moments, neither of us moved. Then he whispered, "I deserve that." Those words surprised me. For the first time since this nightmare began, he sounded honest. Completely honest. An investigator gently informed him that they needed to leave. Cashin nodded weakly. Then he looked at me one last time. "I really did miss you, Dad." I frowned slightly. "What? When I called you?" His voice broke. Part of me genuinely wanted my father back. Silence. I just let greed destroy everything. I closed my eyes briefly. That confession somehow hurt more than all the others. Because I believed him. Somewhere beneath all the lies and manipulation, there had still been a son who missed his father. Unfortunately, that truth had arrived too late. Cashin slowly walked toward the door. Halfway there, he stopped. Then he turned around. "I hope someday, you'll remember me before all of this happened." I couldn't answer. A few seconds later, he left with the investigators. The front door closed behind him. And just like that, the house became silent. Completely silent. 3 months later, Celine officially filed for divorce. Most of the estate's assets were frozen. News articles spread rapidly. Cashin lost his position at the law firm. Professional organizations suspended his licenses. Several investors filed lawsuits. The mansion itself was eventually seized. Everything he had spent years building disappeared within months. As for me, I returned briefly to Vermont. But the cottage no longer felt the same. Too many memories. Too much sadness. So I sold it. A few months later, I purchased a small home near the coast of Maine. Nothing extravagant. Just a comfortable place overlooking the ocean. I spent my mornings walking by the shore. I returned to consulting occasionally. I even began funding engineering scholarships under Elena's name. Life slowly became peaceful again.